So Tino, you know, the main basis behind good mixes in Australia are what we call the potting mix standards. And the potting mix standards are essentially come in two main areas for premium so-called mixes and regular based mixes as well. So how do you tell? Well, on the packets, they have a distinct Australian Standards logo on there. Now, for a start, this is the great place to be because this is telling you already that there's qualities in this mix that are suitable for growing a lot of plants. But what else do we need to know about a mix? Well, let's have a look at some of the ingredients.
Well, potting mixes are made up of two basic ingredients, usually a composted material, in this case a composted bark, and a coarse sand. This adds to drainage, whereas the organic material will hold on to water and also nutrients.
Fantastic. Now, basically a mix, when it is fully mixed together, is very, very similar to this. And what we've got here is just a blended mix of what we call a regular standard. Now, a regular standard essentially has no nutrition in it, so you actually have to add your nutrients to this type of potting mix. Now remember, we've talked about potting mixes and nutrition, and nutrition is an essential part of the plant. Too much nutrition though can lead to excess water use, and in a container where we've already got limited space and limited water availability, then excess nutrition is a problem.
This is a control-released fertiliser. It'll release small amounts of macro and micronutrients into the mix over either 6 or 12 months.
And the great thing about that type of slow-release nutrient, Tino, is the fact that it is temperature controlled, isn't it?
Yes.
So therefore it releases the nutrients when the plants need it. And that type of nutrient release is absolutely essential, not only for plant growth, but also essentially for saving water, because the plant's not necessarily using too much when it shouldn't be.
Now, potting mixes should also be water retentive. Now, how do we up the ante on a regular potting mix, making it hold on to more water? Well, you can use simple methods like water crystals. These will soak up the water like a sponge within the mix. Or, for more organic gardeners, you're able to use coir fibre. Simply put your mix out, put a handful of coir fibre per bucket, and you should have yourself a decent mix.
Now the coir fibre, these ingredients that we're talking about here, things like coir fibre are your coconut fibre, so they're essentially a sustainable resource made from the waste product from coconuts. Bark, the pine bark here, is made from composted pine bark, once again a sustainable resource. So a lot of the materials in the mixes are there because they are cost effective, they have their individual properties which all provide good plant growth.
So a good way of actually rejuvenating your potting mix is every year by mulching the top of the pot and by adding fertilisers such as blood and bone and manures and compost to the mix.
One way of telling whether a plant's been in a container for too long is gently lift the plant out of the pot. You can see in this case that we have a plant that is heavily pot bound. And a plant like this is in obvious need of getting into a larger container, or better still, popping into the ground.
And if you do have a larger container that you're unable to pull the pot out of, simply by lifting the pot up and having a look underneath to see if there's a large amount of roots there, that's usually another indicator to know that you should be potting your plants up.
To be successful with container growing, you need a good quality mix, and the Australian Standards can be the first step towards that. Isn't that right, Tina?
Yeah, a good potting mix is the base for any good container gardening. You'll have better plants and you'll actually use less water.